Hey everybody, it's Rick Bassman coming from Corona. It's the beautiful city of Corona, the height of the coronavirus. It's irony. We have a very, very unusual show today. I want to say, first of all, I'm thrilled to be sitting here with my long-time good friend who has been like a beacon of happiness and calm as we go crazy trying to pull this show off today, the show that we call Be Good. My amazing good friend, known to many of you as Malibu of the American Gladiators, Darren McBee.
Rick, God bless you, man. You know, it's true. I mean, I gravitated to you when I first met you, man. You're such a class act. And we were talking about this amazing group of guys we have, and it's a testament to the love they have for you and the respect they have for you to pull this together in 18 days, man. This is amazing.
No, you know what's amazing? I'm humbled the guys that are on. What I found in talking to like Lou Ferrigno and Bas Rutten and Butterbean and Sting and guys that have been friends for a long time, these are all guys that are not out there posting about their political beliefs.
Right.
There's no divisiveness going on with these guys. They're all about being positive and being supportive of their fellow human.
Right.
And we agreed that it would be absolutely amazing to get this group of guys together that people look at as tough guys.
Right.
And look who we got, man. I mean, we'll introduce them in a minute,
right.
But these are truly some of the toughest guys on the planet from their respective disciplines.
Yeah. Sharing a message of hope and positivity and encouragement to people. I mean, these guys are a testament to being the true tender warriors out there.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing, we don't know if it's gonna work.
Right.
So it's a first time.
That's
we
right.
did this with no budget, and I think we have our Be Good team members on 4 different continents live, trying to make this work technologically. Our freaking amazing producer and director, Tim Prokop, who has been sleeping literally 2 hours a day for the past 18 days. So please bear with us if we have problems or technical difficulties. We're going to do our best.
Yeah,
Who knows,
and let's
right?
give a shout out to Pastor Sean out there, Sean Kelly, I mean, who was so gracious to let us stay here at Hope Recovery Center, this amazing studio. I mean, we had nowhere to go,
This
and he
place is
gave us a
beautiful.
home.
We had nowhere to go.
Right?
Yes.
So
part of our budget.
Right?
Or lack thereof. Thank you, Sean, so much for. And I'm very proud to introduce our 2 nonprofit partners, Live Free USA and the National Cares Mentoring Movement, 2 of the most reputable nonprofits working today to combat social injustice. Please support these 2 great organizations by donating at their websites or by getting your Be Good merchandise today.
Okay, these are the facts. One
third of all black children are living in poverty.
Living in poverty.
These are the facts.
These are the facts.
6.6% of all African-American births
are to mothers under the age of 18.
1 in 4 Latinas is a teen mother.
These are the facts.
Nearly half of all Black and Latino children drop out before graduating from high school.
We can create powerful lives and end the state of emergency among our young. This is the sole purpose for the National Cares Mentoring Movement.
Right.
That said, I don't want to eat up any more time. We should bring our guests on.
Hey man, let's bring them on.
So I see a gentleman who I met way back in 1985, one of the biggest pro wrestling stars ever, my friend Steve Borden, otherwise known as Sting.
What's up, Steve?
Tanoai Reed. Tanoai, are you with us? There's Michael Hearn. Mike, can you hear us? You can see us. I can see you. Hey, Mike, you look good, man, as always. But you can't hear us, can you? Oh, people out there, if you're watching this right now, you would have no idea how many people worked how hard on this for the past 18 days for this. But hang tight. They don't have us.
That's interesting. I'll have a great talk with each other, but they can't hear us. Well, as I said, that's the beauty of all the way live talk podcasts, as it would be.
I'm looking on the other, on another laptop, but it's frozen. It's very choppy, the thing. So I hope they record it, and I hope it can go fast, because I hear that Lou has only like 5 more minutes to be on before he needs to leave. He needs to go somewhere.
Hey guys, it's Rick. Can anybody hear Darren and I by chance?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, guys. Dion, guys,
hear you.
first of all, a huge thank you to all who are here, and I really appreciate it. Guys, we talked about keeping things really, really light, but there's something super heavy going on, and I think it's worth getting out of the way first. It's Benny the Jet's birthday today. Bas Rutten, can you lead the charge on a happy birthday for Benny?
Well played.
Wonderful. All right, here we go. Happy
birthday, dear Benny. Happy birthday to you. All right, guys. Happy birthday, Benny. Oh, wait, we are on camera now. Wow.
I can see you, Rick. Hey.
Yeah, and we got our official shirts on, just like Boss.
Good, man. It's awesome.
I want to throw to Sting real quick, because Steve, I know you don't usually do these things, man. And could someone give me a booster seat, please, or get me raised up here? Steve, I know you don't usually do these things, so thanks for coming on, man. And maybe you could just put a word out there, or a few words about, you know, how you're feeling about what's happening in the world right now, and what you would advise people that are just like bummed out all the time.
You know, first things first is we can just all kind of get out of ourselves and prefer others before us, and treat others the way we want to be treated. I hate to be cliche, but there's so much in that. There's a lot of substance to that simple little statement. Prefer others, and know that, especially for us, because we have a celebrity about us, we're under a microscope, and there are people of all ages, and I think about kids, especially kids. They're watching our every move, and again, under that microscope. And so we got to be careful with what we say and what we do, how we treat people, and that's kind of the way I feel right now.
That's awesome. I see like everyone's nodding, and I think there's a lot of hatred and a lot of divisiveness out there right now. And I know all of you guys to be like, you know, such good, positive guys. Up in the left corner there, and Rusty says Howard Coones. I know that's your real name, of course. You're one of the most known motorcycle club men on this planet. And people probably have like a certain image of you in their mind, but I know you to be very opposite. I mean, how are you feeling about what's going on in the world right now?
Man, right now, it's crazy. I've never seen the world so upside down. And, you know, there's opposing forces out there, and they refuse to work with each other. But I think we need to get people to come together on this.
You know, as I weigh into this, I think I'm looking at some of the biggest, toughest guys on the planet, and yet I look at a bunch of tender warriors out there. You guys are leading the front and the forefront of what heroes are today, true heroes. You know, guys that are not going to go with the flow, the status quo, but stand out for righteousness, stand out for goodness, and truly stand out to being good. And that's what we need today more than anything else. We need tender warriors. And I just want to thank you so much for being a part of the show tonight.
I want to ask Boss something. So I'm 5'4", 135 pounds, and it's like all you guys.
You are really, Rick. Come on.
No, Bean, you know, and you know what, Bean? There's a lot of you normally, but I see 2 of you right now.
You're only about 98 pounds, Rick. Come on.
We got double Butterbean. But like, hey, Bean's a good example. Most of you guys like always let me beat up on you, and I kicked just, you know, because you let me. I kicked Boss once, dude. You kicked me back so hard. I'm like, that's the only guy that ever retaliated against my attack, and I'll never forget that. But
I was probably drunk.
Yeah, man, that's very possible. You know, Boss, people know you, and they talk about you as maybe truly being one of the, if not the toughest man in the history of this planet. But you're a nice dude, man. You see people, you're a good guy at heart. I know that about you. So people go, Bas Rutten, this world is horrible. We're hating on each other. What do we do about that, man?
You know, the fun part is from everything is we all want the same goal. We all want America to be great, but only we have two different opinions, and that's the whole problem. You know, and if we're fighting, and instead of trying to come together, you know, and see if we can fix things, that's not. But you know, in the end, everybody wants the same. You know, I'm going to leave it with that because otherwise it becomes crazy. I just want people to, because it's an opinion. That's what it is. Always when people say something, I like blue, you like green. That's pretty much it. Only on a different level.
Yeah,
now,
you know
I like left, I like right, but you know, we want the same. That's the problem.
Isn't that interesting? And why can't we just talk about you like blue and I like green and be okay with it? But all of a sudden, if you like blue, you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
You know, I got a problem with you. And I'm thinking about Dion. I used to be an LA County Sheriff for years, and you're working on Skid Row, man.
He's known as the angel of Skid Row, and he always manages to maintain this amazing, positive attitude.
I work with people who are gang members, parolees, and I don't look at them and go, oh, that's a gang member, and judge them. There was a parolee that I dealt with who actually became one of my heroes, and he was homeless, and he was on the street for about 2 weeks, to where I walked by one day and I saw him sitting on the sidewalk broken, like completely broken, and he's in tears. And I put my hand on his shoulder. I said, brother, is there anything I can do to help you? He says, well, I hear that you're one of the police officers who can help me get housing. I don't want to be on these streets anymore. I don't think I'm going to make it. So I made a phone call to a lady who said, yeah, I got one space available. And I was so excited for him. I said, bro, you got a space. But while I'm talking, a 76-year-old man walks up, a homeless man walks up and hits my heel with his cane. And he says, hey, can you house me too? I can't be in the streets. And I look at the old man and I'm almost in tears. And I said, I'm sorry, there's only one space. And as I'm telling this to this old man, the parolee stands up and puts his hand on my shoulder and he says, officer. And I look, he says, please give that man my space.
Wow.
Wow.
And I said, sir, are you sure? Because I can't guarantee they're full. She says, no, please. And he took the elderly man and walked him to the appointment to help that man get housing. So right then I said, there's potential there. He has decency and there's potential for change. All we need to do is try to create an environment. And that's kind of been my mission ever since, to try to create an environment where people can change and foster those decent moments. So, you know, I don't judge anybody, man. I don't care what they've done in their life. I see people the way God sees them. I've made mistakes. I'm not perfect. You know, look, if you're a criminal and you're doing crime, I'm going to do my job. You know, that's my job. But if you come to me for help, I don't care if you're Crip, Blood, I don't care who you are. I'm going to go out of my way to help you. And that's the way we should look at things in this world, and stop judging people by the color of their skin, the uniform they wear, the rag they're wearing, and really dig deep and proactively fight to find that decent spot.
Amen.
Yes.
So Dion, thank you for that. I want to point out to everybody on here, look, we have Rusty here, Howard Coones, who is a member of this motorcycle club. We have Dion here, who is in law enforcement.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I'm humbled. I really am.
So Michael Hearn, Titan, long time, man. It's really good to see you.
Good to be here, man. Justin, thanks for doing what you do, brother.
Are you ever gonna like not be in shape when you're like 98 years old?
You got me next to Tanoai, man. This is looking bad for me.
That doesn't happen often, does it? Mike, people are fighting with each other. Good friends are fighting with each other. What would you say to them to try to bring everybody back together?
Wow, it's I don't know, brother. It's we all have done, you know, the dip, the depression, something has hit us and knocked us down, and we've all built ourselves back up into a situation. I'm trying to think of something to give to the listeners that are out there. Is that I guarantee all you guys will say the same thing. You ever met somebody really successful that hasn't had a hard time, who hasn't been knocked down? I haven't. And if anybody's out there listening to understand that is we all get beat up. We all get knocked down. We all get depressed at times, and we find something in us that pulls us up and out, and we start living again.
That's spot on, man. I didn't know what to say other than I agree wholeheartedly. Thank you for that, man. 5 years ago, I was homeless with my dogs, and this was after I had spent about a year in the hospital on and off with back surgeries, double kidney failure, 2 strokes, and then with a heart attack for the cherry on top. Became extremely depressed, very addicted to narcotic pain pills, and then ultimately, because the pills made me act like a maniac, I lost everything, pissed everybody off, and ended up homeless. So by the way, guys, for those of you who knew me during that period of time, thank you for being my friends today, because there's a lot of work to earn that back, and we know that. For me, I was so depressed, if I didn't have my dogs, I probably would have ended it, but I didn't. What I did instead is I got into a program where I found a higher power, as they say, of my own understanding, became dedicated to a spiritual life, and then did my very best every day to be of service to another person. And that's as simple as a little thing I do every day when I go out in the morning. No matter what mood I'm in, I make a pledge to myself that the first 5 people I come across, I'm going to be ultra nice to, no matter how they're acting, no matter what they're doing. It's a really simple thing, but that puts me in a better mood. And then I'm nice to the 6th person, the 7th person, then maybe they'll go be nice to somebody. So who wants to go next?
I'll go. I come from the streets. I grew up in the projects and so forth, that Oklahoma projects, and the school was just across the street. By the time I got to the school, I was already in a fight. So this is how I was raised, okay? So by the time I was 12, 13, I was fighting the street and so forth, making money, and now by the time I was 15, it was $100 back then was a lot of money, but I was in the dark. I was good at what I was doing, but in the dark, thinking nobody was watching until I met my wife, and she became my hero. Because we all need heroes, because when you're threatened, everything you hide under your bed in your closet comes up when you're threatened. And so mentors get a chance to mirror your truth. And it's painful. Nobody wants to hear the truth because it's painful. So we numb it. We drink, we smoke, we do whatever. We try to numb it. We look for heroes that makes us, it gives us an inspire us. But we look for mentors that will really make us look at our truth. And I think that's what I wanted to do, is give back and be a mentor. When Maker brings somebody to me, I realize that person's in front of me for a purpose. And I take the time because I want to give back. And I listen not to the words, I listen to their plea, their want, their cry. And somebody said, "You're going to save the world?" I said, "Yeah." And they said, "How are you going to save the world?" I said, "One person at a time."
Thank you, Benny. Our co-host Darren is back.
Hey, I'm here.
Darren, can you jump in and tell us your thoughts on this subject, please?
If you just look somebody in the eyes for 2 seconds and you just give them some encouragement, "Oh, your hair looks good," or "Man, you got a beautiful smile." Do you know that changes people's lives, because they never hear encouragement? I mean, I'll bet you guys, a lot of you guys are all superstar studs. You don't get a lot of people coming up to you and go, "Man, Rusty, how you doing? You did great on Sons of Anarchy, man. You're a studly dude. I really appreciate you." Sting, you're one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, man. And I really appreciate what you do. God bless you. Bas Rutten, one of the toughest guys in the world. What a great smile you have. And, but you know what? How's your heart doing? How you feeling? I mean, just really caring about each other, right? Really finding out, who you are, instead of just making a snap judgment by the way you look.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. So Steve, your life's been perfect the entire time, right? You never had a single problem, no adversity to overcome. It's all been smooth sailing, right?
Just a cakewalk, man.
Can you tell us a little bit about the lows that you hit and what you did to get back to being the guy that everybody always just thought?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I found myself in 1997, 98, at the very, very peak of my career. And at that time, I had over 400 companies making a variety of products with my likeness and my name on it. I was being pulled in so many different directions, and I had power, I had fame, I had all the recognition, but my life was in disarray. I had two sons. My oldest one is watching and listening right now. And I just, with all the money and power and everything else, it just, something was missing. I didn't know what it was. And you talked about how people look at me and go, "Oh, he's rich. I mean, he's got all this money. I mean, my gosh, he's never had hard times." But I slept in my car in the beginning of my career. I wrestled for $25 a night, $50 a night. I ate tuna out of a can with Jim Hellwig, who later became the Ultimate Warrior. That was our source of protein. We would take orange juice and tuna and mix it up in the blender and get the vitamin C and protein all in one. I know what it's like to have nobody in your court. You know, I wasn't a second generation wrestler who, you know, had this break through my uncle or my dad. I didn't have that. So, you know, I found myself, you know, after a couple of years of being in the business, it was a rocket fast, man. All of a sudden I was wrestling Ric Flair in main event matches, and later on Hulk Hogan, Triple H, and WrestleMania matches and all this. But I found myself, you know, in deep, dark despair. I was addicted to painkillers, muscle relaxers. I was drinking alcohol every single day. The only time that I was sober was when I was in the ring, when I was rappelling out of a helicopter or 300 feet down from the United Center in Chicago, down into the ring to meet Hulk Hogan and the NWO and everybody. So for me, it was a supernatural experience. And so I stopped paying lip service to God, and I said, okay, Jesus, I want you to come live inside of me. Accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, surrendered my life to him, and I've never looked back. That's it.
Oh.
Thank you. Boss, please. Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm 100%. For me, a whole bunch of stuff happened, but I had a horrible skin disease as a kid. So I was the leper at school, and I was bullied. So the fighting, yeah, you know where the fighting comes from, but you know, nobody gave me attention. What do you do as a kid when you don't get attention? You try to get it the negative way. So I thought burglaries were going to be good. B&E. I got caught for, I believe, 152 in total. I went to court twice. I went to prison. I did all stuff. And I didn't stop. I never went personally to personal people. Thankfully, I never did that because I realized I could do something to them mentally that would never be safe in their home. It was always businesses where I would break in or whatever I wanted. If I wanted to go buy cigarettes, I went to a supermarket, broke in, I got all the cigarettes I wanted, and I was out again. Anyway, for me, what stopped it was I had a motorcycle when I was 18. So that was all before I was 18. And I was parking my motorcycle always at the same spot when I was visiting a friend. And one time when I arrived there, all the spots were taken, so I had to park it on the other side of the building. So I visited for like a couple of hours. I walked out, and automatically I walked to the spot where normally my bike would was standing, and it wasn't there. And I thought somebody stole it. And that was for me a big thing. That was for me now. And that, of course, in the panic, I didn't realize, I parked it on the other side. But then finally, when I found out, then I realized, okay, so that's how it feels when things got stolen from. And that was immediately for me, I stopped with everything. And then the bullying, I knocked out a bully, and that started. And then I became the bully beater, because everybody who got bullied at school, I went after those guys. And that, of course, was a natural transition into fighting. And it gave me this beautiful career. But along the way, the same as with Sting, OxyContin, actually my last fight, I was a heavy alcoholic at the time. I took a fight after 7 years not competing, just because I told my wife, I say, if I take this fight, it's going to force me to stop drinking. I have to, so I took the fight, but another problem arose. I had all these injuries that were gone. They all started coming back again. And that started with 2 pain pills, and that ended up with like taking 8, 10, 80 milligrams of OxyContin a day. I went to, because apparently I have a really good liver that finds out how to break it down. So I was up against those, a nightmare. But finally, that was in 2008. I stopped all that crap. And since then, and the same thing as with this thing there, it's also for me, Jesus Christ, suddenly I got introduced to the things that happened in the past that was like Jesus planted the seed in my head. And then I realized, hey, if that evil is there, the good has to be there as well. And once I committed to that, then my life became completely different. And now I spend actually a lot of time, I spend, I go do daily mass. I mean, but I'm feeling feeling good every day more and more. And I completely changed. So that did it for me as well, the faith.
Butterbean. Overcoming.
My whole life's it's been like a roller coaster. I'll be honest with you. It's been up, it's been down. I was the fat kid picked on in school, and a lot of people don't know, but when I was young, I was actually in the Special Olympics because people always told me I couldn't do.
You were in the Special Olympics.
I wasn't able to do things. I wasn't able to do things. I always pushed hard to prove people wrong. And, after I got in fighting, I made really good money, spent a lot of money. I've had ups and downs, but one thing I've really learned is karma. If you treat somebody good, it's going to come back on you. And I've been blessed. I'll be honest with you. My life's been blessed. My wife has been with me since 6th grade on. Yeah, we've had our ups and downs, but she's very strong. And you know what? Good karma has gone a long way for me. And I'm not embarrassed ever to be an American. I've never been embarrassed. But all this stuff going on right now, and I don't know if we said we was going to talk about it or not, but I'm going to talk about it. All the stuff, the way people are acting, I wasn't ashamed to be an American. I was ashamed at how people are portraying America, because we're all not like that. Just because some stupid people are doing stupid things don't mean all of us are like that. We're good people. And good karma will override all of it if people just be nice to one another. And everything will pan back out. Just be nice to your neighbors. I mean, I'm so proud to be an American. Like I said, I've had ups and downs. If it wasn't for this great country that we live in here, and you know what? The world's a great place. I've been all over the world, and I've met great people everywhere. So it's just not an American thing. It's everywhere. If people are good to one another, the world will be better. I mean, that's about all I can say is, you can overcome anything if you're nice to people, and it will come back to you.
Spot on, man. And thank you so much. And we want to hear definitely from Rusty and from Dion, and then the guy I know who's never had any adversity in his life before at all, my co-host Darren, who's just had it super easy the whole way through. I know that. I want to say one thing first. I know some guys have limited schedules today and might have to go. Lou had to go. Tanoai had some connectivity problems in Hawaii. I know what that's like because blessedly I live in Hawaii these days. But a theme that I'm hearing is be nice. It's pretty simple. It's apolitical. It's the opposite of being divisive. Be nice. That gives me the chance to do the first, and maybe this could be the only plug today, and I want to do it for our nonprofits. We have 2 nonprofit partners that are wholly benefiting from anything that this show, this enterprise brings. And they're called Live Free USA and the National Carers Mentoring Movement. And they're 2 of the most reputable nonprofits in the world working in the social injustice space. A amazing company in Germany called Spreadshirt. Bean just leaned back. Bean, we can see that Be Good logo on your shirt. When we had to move
they
room.
like me better, guys. I got a bigger shirt than everybody.
Yeah,
mine's
you
bigger.
did. You did. And you can't see mine because when I had to move rooms, I'm too short to be in the view now. But if you go to www.talking-tough.com, you'll see how to support National Carers Mentoring and how to support Live Free through getting this Be Good logo. Darren, I'm tired.
Yes.
I don't know about you. I'm tired of hearing myself talk. I'm sure you guys are too. Why don't you take over, man? We got a couple of people to hear from, and of course, we need to hear from you, the guy who's never had any problems.
It reminds me of a soundbite. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. And we got a lot of tough people here that have gone through a lot of tough stuff. I know for me, I faced a lot of loss, and like a couple of the guys, Sting and Bas, I've been a Christian for over 30 years, and had I not had my faith in Christ, I don't know how I would have survived it. About 15 years ago, I got a call while I was ministering that my wife had passed away suddenly from a blood clot that traveled in her lung, and she died suddenly. And I was at the literal height of my career. I mean, I was traveling all over the place, doing the Gladiators, filming commercials, and just having a really great time. But I had these 2 young girls, these adorable 2 girls. One was 1.5 and one was 3.5. And so I had a decision right then to make, and it was like, what are you going to do? Are you going to go play, American Gladiator, spandex boy, or do you want to be a real man and raise your kids? And so I stepped away from a very successful career, condos, Harleys, cars, everything, to repossessions, was evicted from place to place, but I had my children with me, and I always had my faith. One of the toughest things that made me realize why I needed to do what I did was my 1.5-year-old daughter would come anytime I was in the bathroom and knock on the door. And if I was in there 15 seconds, she'd say, "Dad, are you in there?" And I say, sure, honey, I'm home. I'm in there. And she, oh, good, daddy. And for a year this went on, and I finally realized that in her little mind, her mommy just disappeared. And so anytime I was out of her sight for 15, 20 seconds, she thought maybe daddy's going to disappear too. And that was the defining moment in my life that I decided, okay, I'm going to be a dad. I'm going to walk away from, all this other stuff and raise my children. And there are many times I had my fingers gripping in the carpet, just saying, God, please help me. Give me the strength to get through this. Give me the strength to be a loving father to my kids, to be a role model to them. And by the grace of God, I raised 2 lovely daughters.
Man, wow.
It always seems like in times like this that it feels like God forgot about you. Even people of strong faith like me, I have my, in the valley moment where it's like, Lord, why have you forsaken me? Right. We're through it right now, but there's always those moments where, you ask God to just let you see just that some hope, to let you know that he's listening. And right 2 days ago, I was on my front porch. That's my prayer place. And every day for the last 3 weeks, I did what my mother did to me as a child. She would anoint my head and then pray over me. And I thought, Mom, why are you putting all this grease on my head? And I thought she was crazy, and then now that I'm a man, for the last 3 weeks with all this going on, I put it on my head. And a couple of days ago, I'm on my front porch and I'm literally in tears saying, God, everything that a lot of us have been trying to do to build relationships is gone. I'm getting all these questions and getting all this hate. Can you just give me just some hope that you're still hearing us, that there's somebody out there who still sees me, sees my heart, because I want to get back in this fight, but I don't know if I'm strong enough. And I kid you not, I went to work the next day and I ended up breaking up a fight. And as I'm detaining the guy and I'm talking to him, trying to calm him down, a woman in a wheelchair pulls up next to me.
Dion, thank you. Man. And Rusty, people know you as Rusty Coones. You're very searchable on Google. Google Rusty Coones. You're going to get all kinds of interesting matches. The kinds of things that's not out there that people don't know. I mean, you owned and operated a beautiful drug and alcohol rehabilitation center. You once graciously invited me to the Christmas party with your motorcycle club. And I remember walking into it going, wow, this looks like something out of a movie. And we all have that perception of what that might look like. But here's what I remember, man. The whole thing was like centered around, and I might have the facts a little off, but I remember it being centered around a Toys for Tots drive. And everybody like in their pitching to do something amazingly good. Probably not what you would have expected walking into there. So you're a guy that I think defies what people would expect. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you've been through?
Well, I've been in a motorcycle club over 25 years. And before that, I was in another motorcycle club. I've been in the motorcycle culture since I was 19 in 1974, and I'm 65 years old now. So I've had some ups and downs, and there's a misperception out there that, especially in a club like mine, which is the apex of motorcycle clubs, people think you've got to be a drug dealer, a criminal, or whatever. Well, I've been a drug dealer in the past, and I have been a criminal, but I'm not anymore. And the majority of people that are doing what I do with me are clean. And as a matter of fact, in my particular charter, we don't have anybody that does criminal activity, and we won't allow it. But we're fighting a huge uphill battle because the first words out of anybody's mouth when my club's name comes up is, "Oh, they're a bunch of drug dealers and killers." So, I've done, work in different industries, including, film and TV a little bit. And man, I'm telling you, that's an uphill battle right there, because people hear that I'm involved sometimes, and it's like all that stuff comes up and they believe it's true, and it's the total opposite. As a matter of fact, one of our major rules, without talking about the club, because we don't talk about the club and I'm not going to, but we have 3 major rules that bleed into all your life. You don't lie, you don't steal, and you don't screw around with the brother's old lady. And I carry that over with everybody. And if you take those 3 rules and carry them over into the rest of your life, your business, your personal life, everything, that's a big deal. That's positive karma. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything about us, but I wish people would understand that. Because let me tell you, there hasn't been trouble here and there. I mean, of course, but hasn't there been trouble with everybody? Aren't there bad judges, bad cops, bad everything, right? Dirty DAs and everything. I mean, nobody even has an office full of employees that doesn't have somebody that's bad. But what I try to do is I try to stay away from that. If somebody's dirty or they're not honest, I want to get rid of them. I don't want them in my life. It's like I remember I had this secretary working for me one time, and I said, "Well, why? What happened with your last job?" She says, "Well, I had a falling out with the boss, and so when I left, I was pissed off at him, and I stole skill saws or whatever." I said, "Oh, okay." So she worked for me for about 2 weeks, and I fired her. And when I fired her, she took my saws. So that was probably 30 years ago. And I learned a valuable lesson, man. If they're going to steal from one, they're going to steal from all.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So just cut that out and you'll eliminate the drama.
Rusty, I have a question for you that's right on theme with what you're saying. So as you said, you had done some stuff in your past. I'm not going to point any fingers to anybody else on the screen, but I know there's at least a couple more of us. You're not that now. Can anybody that's out there doing bad and being bad, can they change?
Well, yeah, everybody can change. But a lot of people, they resist it because it may be greed.
Fear, desperation.
Karma is real. As somebody was saying earlier, man, that's like an ultimate force. And whatever you're reaping, you're going to sow. And if you're out there, doing stupid things are going to happen to you too. You know what I mean? You're going to win stupid prizes. Yeah. So my recommendation is do it the right way. You know what I mean? I've seen the best and the worst. I've done 2 prison stretches, and I went to CYA when I was a juvenile. And good things will come to you. If you're doing good things for other people and treating people with respect, you're going to get treated that way.
Rusty.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Hey, do you know Dominic Ferrara?
Yeah.
Dion was talking about creating an environment, and I know that is very effective because I have been a part of a group of people that created an environment where we saw a Hell's Angel and a Mongol hugging each other, loving each other, putting the gloves down, and we're talking stuff that you don't see, and you know as well as I do. That's almost unheard of, but I watched it. So anything is possible.
Well, anything is, if you treat your, if you want to call it enemy, your opponent, or whatever, with equal respect that you would want somebody to treat you with, and give them an honorable way out.
Right.
A negotiation is not a negotiation when you're telling somebody what to do. It has to work both ways. There has to be a fallout that goes both ways, and both people are going to benefit from it. And there's a lot of people that don't understand that. But just like I'm sure Benny's read it, some of you guys have read The Art of War, man, read that. There's some people in there that really know what they're talking about. and it's not about just fighting at all. You can use it in business, you can use it everywhere, and you can avoid conflict using that. I mean, the ultimate warrior, he doesn't even have to fight anymore. He's went the full circle. You know what I mean? He figures out how to solve the problem without all that.
So with that being said, is basically, it's not what you say, how you say it, and when you say it will make a difference.
Yeah.
There you go.
See, that's one of the things about the martial arts. It's like it's also got the philosophy. And there's so many kids that would have went bad if they didn't have that. They start when they're 10, 11, 12, whatever. And it gives them direction, not only physically with the skills of the and the mind and the body, but they've also got that, they learn to be humble. They learn the values of all that, and I mean, it's really a great thing.
You really gave me a good segue into this because, guys, I don't know about you, but back in the day, I used to play with kids out in the fields. I used to ride my skateboard. I used to play baseball. But kids these days, what are they doing? They got their faces buried down in their telephones, in social media, and nobody is doing anything being autonomous. They're not playing with other kids. They're not talking to each other, and staying, you're beloved by millions and millions of people. I mean, what are your thoughts on being able to bring these people together or positive words for the young people today that just need to hear something from an icon like you?
Well, it's amazing because I'm listening to you talk about the young kids on their screens and looking at their phones and all that. But the reality of it is nowadays, the adults are doing the same thing. When you go to a restaurant, it's amazing to see, a whole family, husband, wife, kids, no conversation going on at the table, not even between the husband and wife. They're looking at those screens, they're texting and all this kind of stuff. And, it just so happens that tomorrow is Father's Day. And I know that fathers have such a huge impact on their homes and on their children. And, it's time now to devote your time and your energy to not just have your authority over your kids, but to have influence over them. And how do you do that? There's only one way to do it. You've got to grab hold of their heart. That means you got to look into their eyes and you got to have conversation with them. You got to have a relationship with them. Grab hold of that heart so you don't have that upside down funnel going on. By the time they turn into young little teenagers, the authority is gone and the influence is gone as well. And what do you do?
Something Sting was saying kind of, hit home the other day. Nothing wrong with texting. My son texted me something the other day and he thanked me. He has a stepson and he thanked me because I made him get out and pick up sticks with a wheelbarrow. I made him dig holes in when things needed to be dug. I taught him how to build a deck. And he was amazed that his stepson didn't know how to do these things. And he thanked me for teaching him that. And being a dad, that means a lot to me that he appreciated that, the work ethic I tried to install in him took a good hold. And he's teaching him now. And, dads need to get out and do that with their kids. I mean, it's really important. A father-son, just because they're playing on their phone, you say, hey, let's go out and do some yard work. Let's do something together. Go fishing. At least do something with your kids.
We are so busy, what you guys are talking about, with the world and with the phones. And like, I wake up at 6 and I turn on my social media around 8:30 or 9 o'clock. The first 3 hours are for me, and everything is for me, and it's for the Lord. And that is where I spend my time. I relax, I do everything. I walk the dog, but I don't do social media anymore. I did a 90-day, they call it Exodus 90. It's 90 days, it's like Lent on steroids. You can three meals a day, 2 fasting days a week, no alcohol, no sugar, no TV, no telephone, no nothing. Only for business you can use it. And once I start doing that, I realized we're wasting so much time on these stupid phones and the stupid internet, and I completely cut it out. When you see me post something, it's about this. I'm going to be on this, but that's it. I'm not going to make a picture. Hey, look at me. I'm here in Hawaii. I'm having a great time. I don't do that anymore. It's a waste of time. I'd rather spend it with my family. And it's the same what I do with the kids. We go to a restaurant, the phones go on the table, and nobody's allowed to touch the phone. The top phone makes the pictures. That's it. But we are not allowed to be on the phone because exactly like we're talking about, everybody's on the phone if you go to a restaurant. The whole families, they don't talk anymore. And thankfully all that came because I got back into the faith and realized I waste time on things that are not important, that we think are important, but they're not going to do anything. Money, fame, all that stuff. You're not going to bring it home. You're not going to take it with you. It's all about what you leave. How do you want to be remembered? That is what I always say. And if people say, hey, dude, man, that guy was an awesome guy, and then at the very end of the whole spiel, they say, you know what, he was a pretty decent fighter as well. That's what I want. I don't want it to start with a fighter, and he was a badass, and the street fighting and all that stuff. No, that's the past. Let's be a good person, just a good person. Treat people like you want to be treated. We're talking about it. It's so stupid. Everybody says it, but nobody's doing it. Let's just simply do it. That's what I'm saying.
Right. A lot of the kids right now only know what they're seeing, and they know everything. They can go around the world like that. I come home from a trip from a different country. My grandson would say, do you have a card? And he would take my card and Google it and go right to where I was, like that. He would be in, and so I would tell him a story, what I was doing while I was there. So these kids have so much information that they become very emotional. And you try to tell them something, they say, I know. They know and they memorize information, but they have no experience. And that's when they become very emotional. And so I think today, right now, everybody right now they've heard so much. They know, but when it really comes down to it, do they really know?
Yep.
And it's either memorized knowledge or it's experience.
It starts with the families, and it really starts with dad at home.
Man, that's huge. Thank you.
A laundry list of statistics that talk about how, you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. And so I think it's time for dads really to check into their families and check into their kids.
And can I share something with you, Dion? Dion, you're on the streets. You see it from a level. Look at how many people you work with that are fatherless. And how does that affect this generation from your perspective?
Well, I like what Steve said. With the cell phones, it causes all of us to be tribalized faster than any time in history. Like, we used to rely on the newspaper, and then if you got lucky, you check out the 6 o'clock news, and then something would stoke your fires. But now there's so many people trying to grab a hold of our children's. And the problem is we used to be able to run interference. Now we can't do that when even our heads are stuck in the phone. And it's the same thing where I work. They're just being fed such negativity that they just latch onto it. If you really look at it, what are people more drawn to? Things that are good-natured, or things that excite? For example, let's say we all know that riding a train is one of the safest ways to travel. We know that. But when we have those seasons where 4 or 5 different trains run off the track and kill 20 people, right? That's what everybody focuses on, those 4 derailments. And you show that night after night after night, all of a sudden people are afraid to ride trains instead of showing that the majority of times, this is not going to happen to you. But that's where we are in society. And as parents, we don't run interference and say, hey, I'm sorry. The truth is that was a horrible thing you witnessed, but that's not all military. That's not all cops. That's not all this. You just saw a traffic stop the other day and nobody got shot, right? So
yes,
we
right.
have interference with hate. We have to run interference against hate. And if we don't do that, we're going to lose this country.
Couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely. A couple of you have talked about fatherhood and setting the right example. So let's say now, a lot of this disenfranchised youth that we're talking about, they're out there, they don't have direction. I'm not naive enough to think they're going to listen to this and listen to exactly what we direct them to do, what we suggest, not direct, what we suggest. But what could someone do to start turning their life around? Bas, I suspect you might know these programs. Dion, I know you will. Are there programs out there that a kid that's listening to this goes, I don't have a dad, I don't have structure, I don't have a group to learn from? What could they do tomorrow to start turning that around?
Well, it's not necessarily what they can do at this point. It's what we can do as men. And what I did when I worked where I work in Skid Row is there was a lot of kids who were in the Union Rescue Mission and they were homeless and they had no role models. And I'll never forget that I went there to do the old dog and pony. Hey, little Billy, what do you want to be when you grow up? Fireman. What do you want to be when you grow up? A football player. And I was patronizing them. And then I saw one girl who was staring outside of the window and she wasn't listening to me. I said, hey, little girl, the party's over here. What do you want to be when you grow up? And she looked out the window and said, well, I'm probably going to be like these folks smoking crack on the sidewalk if you don't get us the heck up out of here. And that shattered my heart to the point to where I had to let my partners do finish the meeting, and I walked out in tears. So I went to the station and I said, you know, who can I put in front of these kids who are like, and the idea hit me, the Just Like You program. And I went back to the mission. I didn't tuck my tail and run. I went back to the mission with mentors and people whose lives mirrored their lives. And my message to them was, forget about this badge, forget about this gun. Matter of fact, I'm gonna take this off, and all you're gonna see is this t-shirt and my black skin. I'm here because I love you and that you're valuable, and you need to see yourself beyond your circumstance. And then I bring doctors, lawyers, janitors, actors in whose lives mirrored theirs. They've been homeless. They've been in living out of cars. They've been in foster care. And they share how they went from that to becoming success stories. And the program even spread to South LA, where I went and mentored kids who were in a school for kids who were in juvenile hall. And I spent 6 months with those kids doing the same exact thing. And you know, their grades went up 2 levels just because a police officer stopped by to say, I love you. And so it's really not on them anymore. The temptation for them is too strong to break. It's up to strong men like you and me to just walk into some place and just say, I want to be a part. I want to share my story of how I became who I am with these kids. That's the answer right now.
Wow. Darren, I'm at a loss for words, man, truly. You know, it's hitting me now. We worked very hard on this thing and pulling this together. You guys have been amazing throughout. You've been patient. I didn't know how this would go once we're on, but you know, we've been working, you know, 18 days now for like literally 14, 15 hours a day, and I haven't stopped to think about how this might actually feel, and it's just hitting me now. And you know, for all the words you've all spoken, man, they're resonating and they're heartfelt, and I just wanted to say thanks and thank you, and throw that back to Darren. Please take over, my friend.
Oh, wow. You know, what a blessing, man. You know, I'm kind of over the moon right now, just feeling all kind of warm fuzzies from you big men. You know, it's a great feeling. You know, I was thinking there's a saying called hurt people hurt people. And that's a very powerful statement. And a lot of times what you find, there's a lot of anger in the world, but what's behind that anger is a hurt person and a broken heart. And if we can a lot of times look past that and see the hurting person in there, I think we can make an effect for a positive change in their life. But so many times we have such thin skins ourselves. It's like, well, oh, you offended me, and you know, how dare you say that to me? But you know what? We got to be like a duck with water off our backs and realize somebody behind that just needs some TLC and some understanding. And I've had this happen more times than I can tell you guys. That, you know, I've had some guy come up to me and say, you know what? You're an a-hole. And I go, why? And I sit down and talk to him for a while, and after a while I go, you know, I just snap judged you, and I went through something with my wife and blah, 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 blah. And then pretty soon they open up and you realize there's just a hurting person behind there, man. And so let's just be cognizant of that and realize that we all just need love, man. And I know that sounds very cliche, but brother, that is the truth. We need to spread goodness and love around, man, as much as possible.
You know, it's always about an honor system. You know, away from the biblical, you know, honor your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your teachers, honor, you know, and honor has to be taught, but muscles have memory of everybody that cheated you, lied to you, you know, in some way. And they're activated by sight, by sound, by feel. You know, you ever have your father come and look at you a certain way, you say, okay, I'm in trouble. Or your mother will call you a certain way, and that word, it makes you cringe. Or they'll grab you a certain way. Well, you know, sometimes if you're not untaught that, it's still with you.
Can I say something about the birthday boy?
Yeah, absolutely, of course. Please.
Okay, good. I got to tell the story. Sorry, Benny, probably going to get sick of it because every time when I see him, I tell the story, and I'm so amazed with it because when I was 19 years old, Benny was in Amsterdam. He was fighting this big, long guy from Holland. Benny was not used to low kicks, kicks to the legs, right? Because in America, they didn't fight with low kicks. And this guy was really good with low kicks. And he starts stomping the crap out of Benny's legs. And somehow, Benny just kept piling through. And the people were all rooting for the Dutch guy. And then suddenly, the third round, the Dutch guy started getting a little tired. And he started spitting out his mouthpiece to get an extra breath. So a few boos started, and then he started fighting again, and then Benny starts slowly but surely, he starts coming into the fight. And the guy spits his mouthpiece out again, and the people, now the whole public suddenly switched. And they start rooting for Benny, and every time when the guy spits something out, they start booing him, and then Benny knocked him out in the 4th round. It was the craziest thing ever. And so he came in when everybody was booing, and when he left, he was almost carried out, people were cheering for him, and that was such a powerful thing. So that's why every single time when I see him, I talk about this because it stuck with me. Yeah, I was 19 years old. It was a good moment, man. Benny, you're a freaking animal, man.
That's awesome.
Oh, you did Mel.
And our birthday boy, happy birthday again, man. And, it's cool. I'm sitting in this control room looking at Benny, and I don't know how the screen looks to everybody else out there, but I see Benny and Bas right next to each other, and it's like just dawning on me, Darren. These are like two of the greatest legends in the history of the fight game. It's pretty awesome.
No
Thank you, guys.
doubt, man. Seriously, seriously bad to the bone cats right there, man.
Wow, we've I feel like we've kept you guys a lot longer. Well, not that we should have. I think we could go for hours, a lot longer than we said we would. Darren, closing ideas, guys. Closing thoughts, please. This would be a great time.
The one thing I always say, and I thought it was cool, and I should make a T-shirt out of it. I always say, doing a little good is still doing good. Doing a little evil is still doing evil. So always think about it. Even if it's a quarter that you steal or whatever it is still evil. But a small good thing is still a good thing. So do good things. And you know what they always say? Everybody looks at these people, these great saints who did so many things. I know it's not. It's one miracle at a time, helping one person. Betty was talking about, everybody was talking about that one person, just one person at a time. Every time do a small good thing. And then I think if everybody would do that, life will be good.
In my culture, to coexist is very important. You know what I mean? You can't just go out there and act like a fool. There's big consequences,
Yeah.
And there's always middle ground, but a lot of people don't even care about that. But a lot of those same people that are chest beaters like that are the ones that they come in and they stir a lot of shit up and then they're gone. And everybody else has to swim in it.
Right.
And I'm not that way. And I feel treat people with the respect that you want to be treated with respect, and be a little bit humble, and you'll get 10 times more out of life and a lot less drama.
Hey, it's been a lot of fun meeting y'all. Hey, be good to each other, and I'm sure we're all friends, me and Bas, and I know a lot of people on the call already. But hey, guys, thanks a lot for having me, and you know what, everybody out there, just be nice to each other. Hey, be good. Be good. Come on, folks.
Really good to see you, Ben.
Be good to each other.
Peace out.
Hey, y'all have a great night.
You too. Thank you, Ben.
For my portion, I'll just close with this. The easiest thing in the world to do is hate. If we think of the most evil human being who lived in the 20th century, we all could probably agree that it was Adolf Hitler. And Adolf Hitler, though he was evil, he was also intelligent because he understood human nature. He knew that it was easier to bring people together as human beings using hate than love. If you want to know it is to bring people together in love, ask Dr. Martin Luther King. Oh, we can't. Somebody blew his head off on a balcony as he tried to love everybody and teach us how to love. Adolf Hitler said this: tell a lie, keep it simple, and repeat it over and over and over again until everybody believes it. And what was the lie used to galvanize the Germans and motivate them to murder 6 million Jews and 4 million others? Is that all Germans are superior, everybody else is inferior, and they bought into it and they murdered people. There was a lie that was being told about African-American males in the 80s and 90s that we're all drug dealers, which caused people to clutch their purse when I got into an elevator with them. And I never hurt anybody in my life. Currently, that lie being told is all cops hate minorities. All cops hate minorities. And if you tell that over and over again, especially now with social media, people are going to start to believe it. But if you really want to do the hard work, whether you're a police officer or whether you're on the other side of the issue, whether you're just a regular citizen, we have to put down our tribalisms and come together and sit down and humanize each other instead of engaging in demagoguery against each other, because it feels like that's the master plan right now, to tear us apart internally. But we, Americans, have to fight that and come together and humanize each other through dialogue. And I hope that happens.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Good word.
My friends, I feel like we've kept you long enough. And Mike, that's your son is adorable. We're gonna send him a toddler's or a child's Be Good shirt. It'll be there this coming week.
Make sure it fits a 3-year-old because he's 1 year old and he's a giant.
Of course he is. Right. Absolutely.
Not because of me, but Mama.
All right.
Thanks again, guys. I'm going to begin.
Mike, can you hear me?
I can hear you good, man.
Okay. My oldest son, Garrett, is a massive fan of yours. So, and he's watching right now. And I got to get this straight. I mean, did I see what I think that I thought that I saw? YouTube, did you reverse grip like 455 pounds for 3 or 4 reps?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I got bored of the one way, it reversed the grip, you know.
Okay. I mean, you know, I grew up with all kinds of thugs and all kinds of power guys, but I mean, I never saw anything like that. I mean,
Yeah.
And then sorry, Rick, I just got to do
No,
this.
please.
The squats from the bench, how much did you do there? For 5.
Yeah, it was 12-inch box, 600 pounds. I'm doing it for us old timers. Doing it for the old timers, man.
Yeah.
Doing the kids, we can still do it. We can still, that old man strength.
I'm very impressed.
It was so good to see all you guys. Thank you so much for participating. And if you guys don't mind, I'll circulate your numbers amongst each other if that's okay.
You know, Rick, I'd love to keep in touch with all these guys.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, guys.
So any of you guys, man, I'm honored to be here.
I'm going to hit you guys all up on Instagram. I know, Boss, not until 9 o'clock. You shut down before that. I got it. And again, man, I appreciate hanging out with you guys. You guys are all legends, man. I appreciate this.
Godspeed, everybody.
So good to see you all. Thank you.
Bless you all.
Thank you much.
See you later.
Aaron, you gonna hang with me for a second here?
Yes.
My partner, my co-host. Should we chat for a couple of minutes to deconstruct this? I didn't want to end it. I felt like we were keeping them, so I thought it was time to be a responsible host and wrap up. I'd love to chat with you for a minute or two about what we talked about and see if there's some takeaways here. You know, we had some technical issues. It was our first time out.
Right.
You know, we never got Hafthor, the mountain, on from Iceland. Not sure what happened there. We lost Tanoai in Hawaii early. Again, I understand that because I live there. Connectivity is often an issue. We lost Lou early. But then again, you know, where else, man? Where else are you going to see Butterbean, Bas Rutten, the Incredible Hulk, and Sting sing Happy Birthday to Benny the Jet? That was pretty cool. I love that.
Yeah, that was a must-see experience for me, too.
That was
awesome. It's a who's who of studly guys out there singing Happy Birthday. But, you know, more importantly, just sharing their hearts, man, sharing their compassion. You know, that really resonated with me.
Yeah, that was incredible. And then you've got essentially the highest ranking Hell's Angel there is, and the highest ranking and most visible sergeant from the Los Angeles Police Department. Yep. And I feel like you became friends today, man. It was just like a really cool thing to see because you wouldn't expect that. And at the end of the day, Darren, I thought the conversation was pretty good, man.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It rocked. Are you kidding me? I mean, it was more than good. It was compassionate. I mean, like I said, you hardly see guys like this break down and share from the depths of their souls. And that was touching. And I think that resonates with everybody because, like I said, people today are looking for heroes. They're looking for larger-than-life heroes. And then you've got them all. Every single guy that was on that screen today was a larger-than-life hero because they were, like I said, tender warriors. And I love that title because it just says everything about these guys.
And it was amazing seeing them together. And Darren, it's been great working with you, man. My long time good friend. You're amazing. You're like the realest guy that I know, and you've fallen probably further to the bottom than just about anybody that I know, and that's a compliment. And I'll tell you why it's a compliment.
Yes,
because of where you are and who you are now. Because that's you. That smile, man. That is you 24/7, no matter what's going on. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate that. So thank you.
You know, Rick, right back at you, man. You know, like I said, I love you, man. I love you like a brother, like a real. I mean that, man. And I've loved you since the day we first met. There's just something special about you, and you're just a really neat guy. And nobody realized what a love you have for these great pit bulls. I mean, we talk about that, our love for animals, and you know, you're special. You even got your dog's paw prints on your arms to show what a tender warrior you are, man.
Where is it? Can you see it right there? There they are. I don't know how the cameras work. Right. There's 5 of them all together. Yeah, and I get to go home to Hawaii tomorrow and see them. I can hardly wait to get home to them.
Yep.
But, you know, I think enough about, no, thank you, Darren. Am I blushing? I think I actually am. I can feel it. Seriously, that's funny. I haven't felt that in years. Either that or we're tired. I don't know. It's been a hell of a couple of weeks. I hope that people took, you know, a good message from this.
Yes.
And I hope people understand, man, that, you know, no matter what they're feeling right now in this world today, and these are people that are going through hard times, because, you know, God knows there are plenty that have good times, and that's a great thing. Hopefully everybody will at one point. But for those who are not, who think that it's over, because you and I have both been on the brink. We've talked about this.
Oh, yeah.
Sting, he didn't say it, but he's told me, and I know he wouldn't mind. He's been on the brink.
Oh, yes.
And for guys that have been there, like us, like so many others, we know when you're at that point in your life, man, you're sure that it's over. There's nothing left. There's no more hope. And people that are in that spot, they may not hear this, but maybe one person will. So there's always hope. Always.
Yes.
There's always something that can be done.
Yes.
And you know what I think it starts with, and we had so many people on so many of the guys tonight have the same message. Go out there and just be a good person to others. Because you know what that does? It makes you feel good when you're doing it.
Always.
And then you start a cycle.
It's so absolutely true. It's like the biggest blessings that I get and I've ever found is when I'm blessing somebody else. It comes back twofold, threefold to me. And it's not that I'm looking for it, it just happens. And that's the beauty of being good, because you get good back. You reap what you sow, basically. And that's what's the beauty of this whole program, is the reason why I signed on wholeheartedly, because I believe in every single word that was said by these guys, and I believe in this concept. So that's why I'm here, man. I'm really thankful we did this tonight.
Thank you. I wouldn't even try to say it any better than that. So on our way out, the new movement, we're hoping this becomes a movement. It's called Be Good. The show will be available probably in an edited form after today, I would imagine, at talking-tough.com. Excellent. Well, everybody, I don't have a poignant wrap up in mind. I certainly don't have one written. So I just want to say to everybody that's watching, I hope you got something good out of this to take away. To all those out there watching, to those who participated, thank you just so much for being here. Thank you for your support. And it's going to sound corny on the way out, but I'm going to say it. Be good.
You stole my line. That's perfect.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Oh, awesome, man.
Tanoai's internet dropped out to a big storm in Hawaii, but he really appreciated what we're doing with Be Good, and he wanted to send in this short, very positive message. We're glad to share it with you to close out the podcast for Be Good.
So I feel like in this day and age, you know, a lot of people hold grudges, hold prejudices against each other because it's something that they learned. You know, when we were all babies, we had no concept of prejudice or anger or hate. We just loved everybody and we wanted to be loved. And as you grew up, we started getting influenced by certain things, mostly outside influences, and we've brought up our own belief system about certain people and certain things. But you know, if you look at it, at the end of the day, we all want to be loved. You know, that was our first emotion ever. And you know, just to go back to that, to take that back and own that and be able to love other people. If we can all do that, return to that foundation of love, I think this whole world will be a different place, because everybody just wants to go home and be happy at the end of the day and be peaceful. Not one person wants to hate or be hated. So love everybody. And like I say, be a warrior of love. And I believe you can't just be happy, you gotta make the happy. I've coined that phrase, make the happy, because you gotta consciously make the happy every day. You make it for yourself, you make it for others. But you can't just be it. So wake up every morning, be grateful, love everybody, smile at everybody, and in return, the world will smile back at you and things will get better. All right.